Hello, this is a video. I'm recording this and I don't really know whether I'll actually upload it. We'll have to see. We'll see how it goes and then we'll go from there. Um, yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a innerspace explorer. It's probably not. It's probably just going to be a standard vlog, which I really haven't done in a good while. But I used to do. And I was watching. I think something I want to talk about today is how at various points in my life I like to catalog. I like to record things and leave like traces of myself that I can refer back to later to kind of get a sense of what was going on in my life, and more so like what was the way in which I was saying it, like where was my mood at, where was my priorities at, kind of where what was I talking about at that time, and what was of interest to me. And so I guess I want to talk a little bit about that cataloging, maybe some of the motivations as to why I do it, and what I get out of it. So this may not be a long one. Well, obviously, if this is on YouTube, you can see how long it is, but I don't know. We're only a minute in, so I'm just gonna talk. And then we'll allow it to be whatever it's gonna be. So cataloging. So I do cataloging comes in a lot of different forms. As you know, because you're on this YouTube channel, I do vlogs periodically. I make videos, and these videos are not, obviously, I'm not really trying to be like a big YouTuber. I'm just trying to kind of put myself out there. It's kind of like an open diary forum. I think I'm updating my notes as I go here, by the way. So it's like an open diary forum, and I think I tailor it in a way that like I want to make sure that whatever I post here, I'm okay with other people hearing, even if it's just like internet people, for the most part, like people I don't really know in real life. I want to make sure that these are things that I'm willing to share. I guess like a through line of all this that provides some context that would be helpful is that about a year ago, I got a bipolar diagnosis. And I guess there's relief that comes from that because it puts into context like when I've had like mental health episodes, be they depression or be they mania or psychosis, which is kind of like an elevated form of mania where you also lose track of consensus reality. Which again, these are things that have really have been aspects of my life for a really long time, but especially in the 2020s, as most of the people who would be listening to this would know me in the period when these things would be affecting me. And for a while, it was just like I didn't know if it was substance induced, like whether I would smoke a lot of weed, or earlier on in the 2020s I would do psychedelics and high volumes of psychedelics and great frequency, and that would lead me to these states where I was manic. And you can look up what mania involves if you're more curious, or you can ask me about it if you know me personally. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Just a little bit, I don't want to give you my full medical history or whatever, but I can give you if you're curious, I can give you a general sense of what the contour of it is. But yeah, I think it was really confusing because I think for the longest time, like I thought that, oh, maybe it's just my relationship with substances. Like, so maybe if I, smoked less weed, then these things wouldn't happen. It turns out that, so for a while I was like, okay, I'll consume a very small amount of THC on a rare basis. It turns out that didn't even work. Like, I still ended up in a manic state anyways. Yeah, and that was, but I've been kind of clear of it since I was hospitalized a year ago because I've been sober. I've been 100% sober. And again, it was always a question of whether this is drug induced or whether there's like an underlying condition. And I guess the truth of it is that it seems like I have an underlying condition that is aggravated by substance use. So, yeah, I don't know. It feels kind of nice to just talk about this plainly, just because, it's shown up in various forms of it's been a very influential component of my life, and it's just nice to discuss it openly. And I don't really have shame around it because it's like, it could happen to anyone. Like, anyone could have an underlying mental health condition, and you shouldn't have to feel ashamed about something that is not really in your control. It's just a fact about you, you know? So I got that out of the way because I wanted to talk about cataloging today. And so a catalog, like I've done vlogs at various points in my life. A lot of the times the vlogs that are on this channel are, are at various states of mental health, and sometimes they capture me in an elevated mood, sometimes they capture me in a low mood, sometimes they capture me in kind of a neutral zone. And it's just nice for me to be able to look back on, like, oh, here's a video from May 2022. Let me check the tone of my voice at that time. Like, what was I talking about? It's like, okay, this is like a relatively common grounded period. That's cool. And it's nice to be able to have that little artifact of myself to be able to look back on, and as opposed to just like going based off my memory, which can be fallible. Like, hearing myself in my own voice is a lot more useful than merely trying to use memory. Like, my memory's pretty good. Like, I think I can tell things pretty well. Especially in retrospect, I can like piece together like, oh, okay, that was probably an episode, even if this was one that went under the radar and I wasn't hospitalized for it. So the vlogs are helpful for that, and that's kind of largely why I'm recording this one today. Just because it's another reference point. It's something that, I feel pretty grounded lately, and I'm coming up on a year sober, which is awesome. And I feel like a lot of the insights and realizations and whatever all the stuff that I went through in the 2020s is kind of allowed to be integrated now because my mind is less agitated. It's kind of just like settling in a way that I'm able to bring it all together in a cohesive way without needing to, go into an elevated state or whatever, without needing to induce something. Like, I feel like my resting state is pretty contemplative and naturally, like, allows ideas to rest. And I guess it's something that, like, because I was in various states of agitation for most of this decade, it's something I haven't experienced until pretty recently. So it's nice to let things settle and be what they are. In light of that, I started journaling a year ago. Which means when I first started journaling, I was like, oh, maybe sometimes I'll do it on a physical journal with pen and paper. Sometimes I'll like type up a journal like in a word in like a text document, and sometimes I will do something like I'm doing now, where I'll record my voice. That was the original idea. That was like, oh, whatever the pace that I'm thinking of, however the pace of what I'm feeling, I'll do for that moment. What it kind of turned out to be was just ended up like typing it, whether it's on, like, I have a couple different laptops that I tend to use for journaling. I have one like a Linux machine that I keep in my work bag, and for the primary purpose of being able to journal on the train. I do most of I take a commuter rail into the city for work, and so like I have like an hour each way, and so I tend to journal at least, like, it depends, it fluctuates week by week, but for a while there I was journaling at least once a day, and that was really nice. I think journaling is really good because it kind of puts you in this like contemplative mood. And it's nice to be able to look back on your journals, even if they're kind of over the place. Sometimes it's like me, I'm kind of a philosophical, spiritual, lyrical miracle kind of guy. So sometimes my journals are documenting that kind of stuff, but a lot of times it's just journaling about like the mundane stuff that happened that day and like how I feel about it, which is kind of like, I guess, the essence of what journaling is probably supposed to be for. So that's pretty nice. So I've journaling more frequently has kind of put me in this zone of like reflection rather than I think I had this feature about my psychology where I was constantly trying to chase the next insight. Like, I was always trying to figure out like what's the next peak for me to attain to, what's the next like big idea for me to latch onto and like work with, rather than letting the insights that I already have mature. So I think journaling has allowed me to sit with the same insight for longer and kind of flesh it out rather than, always chasing the next one. So journaling, highly recommend it. It's something that I'm doing a little, like I started wanting to do it every day in, I was journaling at least once a week or so from like, July, August 2025 to now. But, in February of this year, February 2026, I was like, what if I started journaling every day? As a way to kind of occupy time in a more graceful way. Like, not just pass through time, but occupy it. Like, actually spend time in time rather than using it as a vehicle to get to somewhere else, which I constantly was doing. So that was something that was really useful for me for that practice. And now I feel like I'm more at home in time rather than a passenger through it, which is really nice. So that's cool. Another form of cataloging is my blog, which I I haven't updated my blog in like a year. My blog is kind of like also a public journal, but I don't know. It's like tedious. It's like tedious to update an HTML website. Like I don't have like an easy way to, like, I have to like code every blog post, which is kind of annoying. Like I wish I, maybe did a Substack or something instead, but I guess it's fine. Like I can like, what I often do is like copy the HTML from the previous blog post and like edit it. But like, I don't know, that's kind of lame. And I bought a domain and I use the domain that I purchased. I use for other functions. Like I run a Minecraft server and a Plex server and stuff like that. And so you can access those via my domain, via port forwarding or Cloudflare type shit. So the domain is being used, but my blog has like largely been static for like a year. So maybe it'd be good to figure out what else I want to do with that blog, whether it's album reviews or whatever. The blog has kind of been dead, but it's like it's a form of cataloging that I have had, so I wanted to mention it. I also have this hard drive that in 2022, I was starting to slip into like a manic episode. So, so be it. But in the beginning of that, like kind of before it really kicked off, I felt the need to really, like, I wanted to deep dive into my past. And so what I decided to do was catalog my entire online history onto a hard drive. So I downloaded my entire data from Facebook, my entire data from Twitter, all these websites, and like just to catalog it all so that if I ever wanted to look through it, I could. And kind of when I was having another crisis last summer 2025, I pulled up that hard drive and was like looking through Facebook messages with a particular person to like try to resolve my feelings towards them, to say like, oh, what does this history actually look like? And so it was kind of useful, but I don't know. My mom expresses that when I dig too deep into my past, it's concerning to her. Like it seems to coincide with me having mental health episodes, whether it's like looking into family genealogy or digging a lot into like my late high school, early college years, because those were like various like kind of troubled times of my life, and it's something that I seek to resolve when I get into an elevated state. Working with a therapist now has been really helpful for all of these things. I've been with my therapist now for almost a year. And before that, I had like a 2-year gap with no therapy. And then before that, I had like a really, really good therapist. Not that my current therapist is not good, but I tend to like prefer older therapists. And my current therapist is like probably around my age, which is fine. And he's helpful for more mundane things, like trying to help me name my emotions. And, it's something that I struggle with. I'm like, this is not a brag. I guess I'm like a pretty intellectual person, as in like I live in like the thought realm rather than, and I have a hard time identifying what emotions I'm even feeling. Like I have a low resolution picture of emotions, but a high resolution picture of thoughts. So like, if you ask me how I'm feeling, I tend to provide a thought about how I'm feeling and then a judgment of the thought rather than the actual emotion itself. So that's something I'm working on with my therapist, is like naming my emotions. and kind of allowing them to breathe rather than judging them or just labeling like them as like, I feel bad and therefore this is bad or something. Trying to have a higher resolution picture of it. Yeah. I don't have too much else to say here. And we're at 15 minutes. This is like a reasonable little snippet of something. So I don't know. I think I'll maybe leave it here. And I kind of liked this. Like, I kind of like this like little voice disclosure moment. So, I don't know who you are listening to this, but if you enjoyed this and you want to engage with it, feel free to leave a comment. Otherwise, I hope you have a lovely day. And thank you for listening. Bye.